What if your freedom isn't freedom at all, but the most sophisticated cage ever built? You wake up in the morning, and before you even take a breath of fresh air, your hand reaches for the device sitting next to your bed. A screen lights up, flooding your mind with other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's realities. You scroll, you nod, you laugh at things you don't actually find funny. You agree with things you haven't really thought about. You feel anger at things that, yesterday, you didn't even know existed. And then you go to work or to class or back to your desk at home. You tell yourself, I chose this. This is my life. I am free. But are you? Or are you just following the script handed to you once so subtle you don't even notice the ink is written in? The strange paradox of modern life is this. We live in an era that worships freedom, but almost everything about our daily experience feels like captivity. Not chains of iron, not cages of stone. Something far more invisible, far more effective. We call it choice. But choice is not the same as freedom. Let's go back. Plato's allegory of the cave wasn't just about ignorance, it was about false freedom. The prisoners could move their heads, they could talk to each other, they could choose which shadows to believe in. And yet, none of those choices mattered. They were still chained. Their freedom existed entirely within the walls of a prison they couldn't see. Today, the cave is everywhere. The walls are built of algorithms, advertisements, political slogans, cultural rituals, and psychological habits that make you feel free while quietly scripting your life. The German philosopher Nietzsche saw this long before Instagram, before advertising agencies, before smartphones. He warned that human beings have a herd instinct. Left to our own, most of us don't actually want freedom. We want safety. We want to belong. We want to avoid the unbearable silence of standing alone. So we obey the crowd, we follow the trend, we repeat the words given to us, and we call it our decision. Think about the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no. The last time you stayed silent when you felt the urge to speak. The last time you agreed with something just to avoid conflict. That wasn't freedom. That was obedience, wrapped in a smile. Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone. Contrary to popular belief, he wasn't telling leaders to be evil for the sake of it. He was describing how power actually works. He observed that rulers don't need to hide their manipulation. They don't need to silence the truth. All they have to do is flood the world with so many illusions, so many shallow choices, that people will cling to the appearance of freedom while surrendering its substance. Bread and circuses in Rome, reality shows today, propaganda then, social media now. The details change, the structure doesn't. And psychology backs it up. When we're given too many choices, we don't feel liberated, we feel paralyzed. Psychologists call it choice overload. And when overwhelmed, most people simply default to what others are doing. They follow the crowd, copy the majority, obey the trend. We call it free will, but it's really just the path of least resistance. Now, here's the most uncomfortable part. Real freedom doesn't always feel good. It feels heavy. It feels terrifying. Because freedom means responsibility. It means realizing no one is coming to rescue you. No authority can tell you the meaning of your life. No tradition can shield you from the chaos of existence. Freedom means you must decide. You must create. You must walk without a script. And for most people, that feels worse than slavery. This is why Nietzsche called true freedom the most dangerous of all possessions. Because the moment you taste it, you also taste the abyss. So what can we do? If freedom feels like a cage and obedience feels like safety, how do we escape? First, we must learn to see the bars. Every time you find yourself scrolling without thinking, every time you accept something you don't believe in just because it's easier, every time you mistake comfort for truth, you are in the cage. Naming it, seeing it, is the beginning. Second, we must practice small acts of disobedience, not reckless rebellion, not chaos for the sake of chaos, but deliberate, conscious refusal. Say no when you mean no. Ask questions when the room expects silence. Refuse to laugh at cruelty, even if everyone else is laughing. These are the cracks in the walls of the cage. Third, we must embrace the weight of freedom itself. That means accepting that there is no final answer, no absolute guarantee, no authority that can make life simple for you. You must create your own values, your own meaning, your own path. It is heavy, it is terrifying, and yet it is the only path worth walking. Bonhoeffer, the theologian who resisted the Nazis, wrote, "Silence in the face of evil is itself evil." He understood that obedience is never neutral. Every time we obey something false, we strengthen it. Every time we disobey, even in the smallest ways, we begin to weaken it. Your freedom may feel like a cage today, but that is because you haven't yet learned how to use it. So let me leave you with this. The most dangerous prison is the one that convinces you it doesn't exist. Look around. Listen closely. The lies are not hiding in the shadows. They are standing in the light, waiting for your obedience. The question is not whether you can see them. The question is whether you will keep obeying. And if even a small part of this changed the way you think, if it cracked open one corner of the cage you've been living in, don't let that go. Step deeper into these questions. Step deeper into yourself. If this spoke to you, then step further into the edge and subscribe. Because at the edge of illusion begins the possibility